Hey, tea sippers. Yes, I'm back. Listen, this time change stuff is throwing me off big time because I kept trying to put 12, I mean, 1, 2, buckle my shoe, and it kept kicking me out. I said 2:45, it wouldn't take it. Then it go to 3:45. 2:45. I said, oh my goodness, it's just not respecting the time change. Either, I mean, I don't. I've noticed some things with my laptop. Maybe whoever is also preoccupying my laptop, you know, is not recognizing the time change. But come on in. I want to go ahead and finish this out. It was so interesting. And I need to chime in also. A bunch of stuff is going on. It's just always something going on. Got to talk about Nigeria. And why is Trump trying to get involved and start wars that he is not ready for? So now you want to go and fight with Africa. Now you're going to take over Africa. So y'all trying to really just take over what? Everything that's pertaining to Revelation and God's coming after his people, or what? What are we doing? What is the plan? I mean, are you trying to be God right here? I mean, not, curly hair, woolly hair. I mean, what? Baby, if y'all think y'all finna play with God like that. So look, I heard some, like, y'all better leave Africa alone. So you planning on talking about you coming guns blazing. So you want to go way over there on they turf. How you go? I mean, how you gonna get in? So how you gonna get the military gonna get off a plane? They're not gonna see the plane. I mean, what? What? I mean, you said guns blazing. You didn't say nothing about no bomb. And why? And what does that have to do with you? Because you're not a Christian. Yeah, so we're going to have to talk about that a little bit. So I need to hear you. Yeah, as you come in, I need to put that as you come in, as you listen in. Even if you in the clouds and don't pop down, I'm cool with that too. But I still need for you to hit the like button. If you don't like me, that's cool too. Hit the like button. Like the message. Because we learned something again today. This with Candace and Norman has been very enlightening. But we're going to have to mosey over to Africa. And I had listened to a guy on one of the Epstein gentlemen I respect. So I'm going to chime in on the part where it comes and explains a Sudan after we finish with Carmen and Candace and Norman. Okay? With this guy right here. Ooh, how we liking that mohawk? Ooh, baby. If that Mueller, or whatever they call it, baby, look at that dude. It's curly out. Got a little gray on the side. Hey, Tiffany. Got a little gray on the side. Yeah, it's a bunch going on. Ooh, it's a bunch going on. Did Jimmy Kimmel drop another name? He said he mentioned a cover up. I read something. He mentioned a cover up, and somebody else's name fell up out the files. I said, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. Y'all gonna make that man try to push a button. These names keep, baby. Ha! Them names is dropping. Yeah, while you trying to punish us, somebody punishing you. You stall on the economy, they gonna stall on you. You play with them, and they gonna play with you. Then I heard, I mean, that you maybe your rules, your regulations, and in how Melania got here. Do she know how Melania got here? The Virginia, do she know anything about your wife? They saying, yeah, but now they said it may not be so. Yeah, it's sexual. Oh yeah, cause the first black male came. Hey, Naturally Nolans, I'm back. The first black male came with her being pimped by him, Epstein. He had her. He broke her in a whole year. He what? AunTeaFee. Yeah. He broke her in a whole year before she hooked up with you. Is that in her book or something? Did she allude to that, baby? Yeah, because what I was hearing a little bit ago, they were saying, well, maybe it's just because of, his immigration. No, it's more than that. And that means that she would have to be deported in Barron too. And that may be some of it. But Holanya was with Epstein before she was with you. Who else was she with? Baby, I can't wait. Let me tell y'all something. Trump gonna plan on ending the United States. He gonna want to blow us way off of the map. He don't want the military to be prepared for nothing they have planned. So he gonna have the military all over the place. Yes, he said, over my dead body will all my secrets be exposed. Over my dead body will I go to jail. I'll take them out before I let them take me in. I need for y'all to hurry up and create this bunker up under the East Wing so I can hide or let some kids in. It has a dual, triple purpose. When they let me know they coming for me, I'm going down in the bunkers. This whole house will burn to the ground before I let them take me down. They better do a sneak attack, baby. Because he ain't going. He ain't going. Yeah. He got a plan for the U.S., baby, because just like he punishing us, somebody punishing him. They leaking. Yes, indeed. Make no mistake about it. And then he had the nerve bounty scheme. Yeah, to have a party with a little nurse outfit chick. Did you card her before she got up in that big old cup like you gonna slurp her up out of there? Now, you know that thing don't work. Why you playing? Don't you got a catheter on your leg? Huh? What you trying to do with a catheter on? That is so ugly. AunTeaFee. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. He got a catheter on his leg. And you think somebody is interested in you? Baby, that would have to be some long ass money. Do you hear me? That's why I just can't compromise myself for any and everything. Come on, y'all, let's go. Somebody get butt, booty, naked with a catheter. A what? So do you have two? One for pee and one for doodoo. He said they both running. Hey, Peaches. Let's go, y'all. I'm gonna start back where we were earlier today because it was just getting good. Wasn't it? It was good. It's just me saying, read his ass. Show no mercy. Break his ass down like he trying to break us down. Man, you better leave them Africans alone. If you can't handle the ones in the U.S., you dang sure can't handle the ones over there in Nigeria. You better leave them alone. And listen, military, since we know he on that bull, asked him to go and be on the front line. Yeah. Since he avoided being drafted a long time ago. Said he had heels, spurs under his feet. Thank you. Happy poop. I don't know how your tongue. Oh, you so nasty in your own Point Dexter. Thank you for the happy poop. Thank you, Naturally Norlands, for the flowers. Yeah, he need to be on the front line this time. Since he avoided the military draft. Why he wasting our soldiers' time with all this stupid bullshit? He need to serve his country. Maybe then he will respect it. You understand? Put his ass on the front line. If he don't go, you don't go. Don't take no orders from a man who got a soft brain. It's just like mesh, they say. He's setting the military up for a fall. Huh? He trying to take y'all out. He trying to make sure y'all don't come and get his ass when all the files come out. I was supposed to know that. Military don't own him. No, elite. Show don't. Administrate. Charlatan. Administrate. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, you understand? We not falling for none of them nasty ass mush butt ass bananas. in the tailpipe. Until you do what you want the military to do for a fight that don't have shit to do with us. You take your ass over there first. You take your ass over there and talk that dick. And if you don't go, we don't go. You the leader, ain't you? Take your ratchet ass over there. Talk that shit to them in their face. And see if you don't go see your maker. Don't interfere with our military, cause we gonna need them over here. Didn't you say the U.S. need them? Let them stay over here. You let Israel, pro-Israel, Hamas, them help you over there. They closer to them than we are. All they have to do is go across a little water and some sand. You friends with Qatar. Have Qatar go talk that talk for you. They don't have nothing to do with us. We don't believe you, devil. We will cry out to the Lord ourselves. We don't need no help from Satan. You understand? We don't need no help from you. Okay? Them people that the U.S. been funneling, money to, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, J.P. Morgan, and Chase. Y'all know I ain't got no sense. And I ain't ate. I ain't got no sense. Yeah. Since they trying to rewrite the Bible, let them Rockefellers, Rothschilds, all them people that be in them seances and shit. Yeah. That voodoo, hoodoo, we do. Yeah, messing with kids and minors and sacrifices and trying to sneak body parts, missing parts, homeless people and shit and meat. Now y'all gone over there. That's what I vote for, since I pay taxes. So since you made the decision to funnel money to them, we need to suggest that you send them over there, since it's our dime, right? Yeah. And I was listening to a man not long ago. He said, I don't know how long he said, but we need to boycott, I say about a good week. No shopping. Fill your gas up. No gas. No groceries. No clothes. Make the stock go down. Make Wall Street and the stock market crash. How about that? I thought it was a very good idea. Since he's stepping outside the box with this unorthodox crap, we need to make a statement. Red, blue, black, white. He done lied to us all. Don't spend a dime. Yeah, I got quiet. Yeah, I'm looking straight. Not a dime. Since he trying to lay off tons and thousands and millions of people, don't want to feed nobody that's in need. Oh, okay. Don't spend a dime for at least a week. Yeah. How y'all think that'll work? They'll be calling him saying, open up the government. Stop. Yeah. Yeah, all that dirt. Release the files. Yeah. That's what we need to do. Let's go, y'all. I think I'm going to move it back a little bit because I don't know. I didn't mark where we left off. Y'all ready to go? Let's hit the like button. That's what I'm on today. That's what I'm on right now. And C won't give him a cup of tea. Remember how dirty they did her? Watch out, baby. They doing all us dirty right now. It ain't over. I showed a list of how about 20 companies that's letting go thousands of people all at the same time. They all on, and then last night, all of these experiments. Y'all need to go back and look at them lives. There's some good gems in there, baby. St. Louis, they done military experiment. So when they so when he's saying we need to test nuclear or something, he talking about releasing shit in the air probably. How they gonna test it? I found out late last night that before, when they thought that they was gonna have a nuclear something, they had to test out chemicals, and they secretly tested them in St. Louis. And these people now dealing with not just joints, but cancers, different type of cancers in their body. They admitted that they did it. But then some paperwork started coming up missing. So when Trump is saying we need to test the nuclear, whatever he said, I need to do my research on it now. Now that I know how he operating. So they finna start dropping shit in the air. Population control. Y'all understand? Yeah, I hope he understand. He went from filibuster now to testing. Go to testing. So testing means releasing shit in the air. Memphis. Y'all know I've been on Memphis for what? Since Dolph passed. All of that Elon and that AI, that I don't know, monstrosity stuff he got over there. Polluting the air. Now folk need breathing treatments and shit. He never went through the proper steps for health reasons, for health. He don't have certificates. He don't, huh? And I'm saying he didn't know he needed that. Yeah, he knew he needed it. But that's Trump's friend. He gonna do it without it because he's in a rush. See, he's trying to catch up. See, so everybody have a job to do. He gonna start wars and stealing. You get these AIs up so that we can replace all of these jobs, and then we can remove them, and we can still operate without them. Y'all better wake up. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Like it. I'm talking about our laws. We chanted ho 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 Chi Minh, the NLF, National Liberation Front, is going to win. Nobody got arrested for that.
I need to start when Candace was doing her little confession. When she found out, she thought that they was her friend. She thought they believed in her. She realized that she was a oh, I wrote it down. What type of slave? I can't remember. She realized, you let AunTeaFee say it. You want me to say it my way? She realized that she was a house. Nickel. 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 She realized she was a house nickel instead of a field nickel. Did y'all catch the nickel? She realized that she was still a nickel. When she was going against Black Lives Matter, and she wanted for them to be honest about the ooze. If I can tell on my people, y'all can be honest about y'all's, can't you? And then it's when they said, get out. We don't need you no more. We just need it for you to speak out against the black people. Black on black. I don't want to say crime. Hate. Black on black hate. We hate them. Hell, we happy you hate them too. We talk about them. Hell, we was happy that you was talking about them too. We not going to talk on our own. I got to start there, y'all. Woo, baby. Huh? Let's go.
It 501c3 that has taken millions of dollars, and Bob Shillman was one person who took $2 million away from him instantly if he didn't,
Maybe I went back.
Well, if the remuneration is enough, many times.
Well, I think that's also, I know that you don't engage much on social media, and you also don't even have a cell phone, but I released this week, I sort of waited
no.
for everybody to lie, which they did, of course.
That's not it.
And yeah, it really woke me up to what happened there.
There is the money issue, and then the money issue.
Happened. He literally told Bibi Netanyahu on the phone, no, because they were panicked about losing Charlie. He called in his message because of Jewish behavior, and we know what he meant. He didn't mean all Jews in America. It's like that power that we are talking about that happens, and the way they were treating him as if he was, suddenly he woke up and realized, like I did, oh, I thought that you guys were supporting me because you were my friends. I thought you supported me because I will pursue the facts. I thought you supported me because you want me to have a platform because I will speak truth to power. And then when you turned around and realized, well, wow, I was just a slave to you. You view me as something other. And for Charlie, I think he was realizing at the end, or maybe he never understood it, that if you take the king's shilling, you fight the...
Can y'all believe she said that? I'm not going to even lie. I have more respect for her than I did coming out trying to figure out or speaking the truth about yet not Yahoo being behind it. When she said that right there, I said, oh, so she's serious. She is going to spread the truth. That awakening right there. That is all she was. She was the token nickel. I'm saying nickel. They were never your friend. And the same way that they was a deceiver to her is how they are trying to deceive this Israel that was created in 1948. See, let me. So listen, Christians who still kind of believe, but it's in the Bible. Do you understand? And I'm just for the first time saying this because it just came to me, that accepting what is going on right now, knowing now it's coming out, if you didn't already know, that this Israel that y'all are thinking is God fulfillment was created in 1948. So that means that whoever created it is playing God. Do you understand? Because God created Israel. He took him from Jacob to Israel. It didn't have nothing to do with the Rothschilds. So if the Rothschilds is saying that they created Israel in 1948, then they are saying that they are God. So you have to know that it's not about brothers, baby. It's about the devil thinking he is bigger than God. Okay? Let's understand that Israel in the land, no. That's a whole bunch of PDFers, filers, business cats that been stealing for years, trying to control the narratives in the Bible. Let's be clear.
In the pro-Israel cause. And I really think that the best...
The American Jews are convinced Israel is committing genocide.
Yeah.
But Coleman Hughes doesn't see it. Van Jones doesn't see it.
Chinese AI given in
British proper,
to demands for
they're none so
1.5 trillion
blind as
congressional
those who will not
spending
see.
could result in the
And
U.S. suffering
if
from
you know the Bob
increased
Dylan song, For
national
My Generation
debt,
Blowing the
higher
Wind,
inflation, and
how many
negative long-term
times
economic.
can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? Well, if the remuneration is enough, many times.
Well, I think that's also, I know that you don't engage much on social media, and you also don't even have a cell phone, but I released this week, I sort of waited for everybody to lie, which they did, of course, they love lying, about Charlie Kirk and what he was going through in the end, and I released the text message chain 48 hours before he died, where he said, they've left me no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause. And I really think that the best person that put it very plainly, like, if you lost Charlie Kirk, who was actually so committed to Israel, for him, as he started evangelical Christian, and then he couldn't unsee, and he said explicitly in his message, because of Jewish behavior, and we know what he meant. He didn't mean all Jews in America. It's like that power that we are talking about that happens, and the way they were treating him as if he was, suddenly he woke up and realized, like I did, oh, I thought that you guys were supporting me because you were my friends. I thought you supported me because I will pursue the facts. I thought you supported me because you want me to have a platform because I will speak truth to power. And then when you turned around and realized, well, wow, I was just a slave to you. You view me as something other. And for Charlie, I think he was realizing at the end, or maybe he never understood it, that if you take the king's shilling, you fight the king's war.
Well, there's a proverb. I'm not familiar with that proverb, but there's he who pays the piper calls the tune.
And what do you do when you have a not-for-profit 501c3 that has taken millions of dollars? And Bob Shillman was one person who took $2 million away from him instantly if he didn't, start peddling the correct talking points about Israel. And he was just done in the end. And then, he died. So it was no longer a problem, but they then rushed to misrepresent and to pretend that that period didn't happen. He literally told Bibi Netanyahu on the phone, no, because they were panicked about losing Charlie, calls and invites him to Israel, and Charlie said no. And yet Bibi then rushed to lie, or I guess to not tell the whole truth, when he says, I called him 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. It's like, and what did he say, Bibi? What did Charlie say back to you? So it is we see that story playing out right now, where you see the fight to make sure that they control people that genuinely, like me and Charlie, believe that they were just our friends and believed in our mission to just tell the truth no matter what that truth is. Which means that naturally, if you're interested and committed to truth, your perspectives will change with more information, which is what happened to me. My perspective changed because, well, not even more information, just information in general, in large part thanks to the work that you're doing and people like Dave Smith, and it really woke me up to what happened there.
There is the money issue, and then the money issue is combined with the wholesale assault on academic freedom and on freedom of speech. So we'll just take a recent example. There were several young people, they were what's called non-citizen immigrants here, people like Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia University. And they were rounded up, sent off to strange places. In some cases were things like literally writing an op-ed in the tough school newspaper. That's it. Critical of the administration because of its support of Israel, de facto support of Israel. And it was 2 weeks ago, a decision came down in Eastern District Court on this whole case with these guys, okay, who were arrested by ICE, put in strange places. The guy who wrote the decision, his name is Judge Young. He was a Reagan appointee. So we're not talking about a Hamas supporter, a Reagan appointee. And he wrote a 161-page decision. And he said, non-citizen immigrants, they have the right to free speech. That's in our jurisprudence, they have that right. Number two, he said they didn't say anything that crossed any line. They supported the Palestinians, they didn't support Israel. This is America. You have the right to free speech. You yourself might be surprised. Our Supreme Court has ruled you have the right to advocate the violent overthrow of our government. The violent overthrow of our government. You have that right. That's what our Supreme Court ruled. Our Supreme Court ruled you have the right to burn the American flag. During the war in Vietnam, there were a large number of demonstrators, myself included. You may not like it. I'm talking about our laws. We chanted, ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, the NLF, the National Liberation Front, is going to win. Nobody got arrested for that. Nobody got pulled up off the street for that. There were literally millions of people chanting things like that. Now these young people in the encampments, they're chanting things like, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I don't like that slogan personally, but that's their right. This is America. And the judge ruled, Reagan appointee, he's 85 years old, he says, by not letting them speak, rounding them up, sending them off to strange places, he says, quote, you're terrorizing, that's the word he used, you're terrorizing people's right to free speech. He said when ICE puts on the masks, you know what he said? I'm quoting him word for word. These are cowardly desperados acting like the Ku Klux Klan. That's the words he used. Who was behind this assault on our freedom of speech?
The Trump administration.
No, the Trump administration, you could say broadly, but on the specific issue of the encampments and Israel and Palestine, that was the Jewish billionaire class.
The Trump administration.
but,
So we're in radical agreement.
but remember, speech. He said when ICE puts on the masks, you know what he said? I'm quoting him word for word. These are cowardly Who was behind this assault on our freedom of speech?
The Trump administration.
No, the Trump administration, you could say broadly, but on the specific issue of the encampments and Israel and Palestine, that was the Jewish billionaire class.
The Trump administration.
but,
So we're in radical agreement.
but remember, it began under Biden.
Yeah, I'm talking about when he actually, Mahmoud Khalil, because they followed that case.
Right.
And because I believed in Trump and I voted for Trump and
I agree with that part.
they got up there and they pretended he was some terrorist and they
Yeah.
lied. And I'm like, but he wasn't. And we were the ones that said that we would fight for free speech
He
the
was
hardest.
actually the mediator
I
at
know.
Columbia. He was
I know.
the
I
mediator,
followed it. Yeah.
You know, so it's a wholesale assault on freedom of speech in our society, and it was led by these people, the same billionaire class.
That cut checks. And this is the problem when you take the money, which I say you fight the king's
I
wars.
told
How
you.
did Trump get into office? Who cut him the checks? Like, who cut him a $100 million check? Miriam Adelson. And so the presidency can be bought, okay? There's no question.
Yes, I think.
As all things in America, there is a certain level where you can outright purchase influence. And it's hard for us to recognize that. And I had to really come to terms with that. This has been hard for me as someone who has been a vocal supporter of Trump, truly believed that he sort of beat the billionaire class to get into office, to see him so radically in this term specifically shift on his perspectives of speech. I actually feel watching him pains me to see this administration play twister to explain, while we're free speech, but this is different. These are Hamas supporters, all of these psychological games. And no, you're not instantly a Hamas supporter if you have questions about what's going on over there. And by the way, they also gaslight us where they're like, then they get to you're obsessed with us. It's like, no, you guys were the ones that insisted that we all have a perspective on October 7th. And so when some of us actually said, okay, well, let me get educated, because maybe let me roll my sleeves up and be radically pro-Israel. Then when we looked and we pierced that veil, we went, oh my goodness, how was I ever pro-Israel? And now you want us to shut up. Now you want our influence gone. Now you want to smear us as anti-Semites and Hamas supporters. And it really is telling.
Well, there are two aspects. Number one, this is America. You're allowed to be a Hamas supporter. That's our freedom. I am not a flag waver, but facts are facts. That's what was determined by our Supreme Court. And secondly, they're not.
Right.
I mean, you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
They're not.
They're not, and even if they were.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not,
and even if they were.
That was what the judge said. Mm-hmm. The judge said, I disagree with a lot of the things these people say, but that's their right.
And I just also want to say this to just kind of get this off of my chest, because this is what deeply troubles me the most, going back to your slave analogy, which is actually not an analogy. What it feels like to me when these, and now I recognize Jewish supremacists, supported me in supported me and platformed me when I was attacking BLM. So I recognized this. Supported me and platformed me.
I need for y'all to listen to this, Candace, with a good ear. I've been trying to hold this. Janie, if you're still here to respond to your AI demands for the 1.5 trillion, I played this earlier just in case you wasn't here on part 2. Listen.
About to show you exactly why Republicans have no intention of opening up the government again.
It really covers everything, the great, big, beautiful bill. We got everything done. I said, let's get it all done. A lot of people want to do it in little, small pieces, like 9 of them, 12 of them. I said, put it all into one bill, and if we get it done, we're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that, Riska. We got it all done. It was a little risky. But because if we didn't get it done, I don't know, who knows what would have happened with these radical left lunatics that we have to deal with. But we got it all done, and now we're set, and you're set.
You literally just said.
So I'm going to cover that later on tonight. Okay? So when I saw your comment, that's what it reminded me of. They whole plan. They have a whole plan. He don't need Congress. I mean, remember I played some time ago where he said this will be the last time y'all will have to vote. Christians, I'm not Christians, but Christians, you got to vote. This will be your last time voting. And so now he over there acting like he wants to do something with Nigeria because of Christians. Okay? So listen to her with your good ear.
When I was attacking BLM, so I recognized this altogether Marxist strand, and I was saying, and I stood up to my own people, right? My own people, and said, let me tell you why this is not going to work out. Let me tell you Granddad's lessons. I wrote an entire book. You're amazing, Candace. Let me get you this platform, that platform, fly you here. And then when I was like, oh yeah, and I know this is going to be hard for you, but you guys are not going to have to stand up to the Jew. Get out of here.
Get out. She said, if I could stand up to my people, if my people who are called by my name, yeah, if I have to stand up to my people, then you will have to stand up to your people. Now it's get out. She thought they were her friends. She thought they really wanted to support her and Charlie's cause. And she found out the hard way. Come on, sing it with me, y'all. That dreams don't always come true. That it wasn't true.
Supported me and platformed me when I was attacking BLM. So I recognized this altogether Marxist strand, and I was saying, and I stood up to my own people, right? My own people, and said, let me tell you why this is not going to work out. Let me tell you Granddad's lessons. I wrote an entire book. You're amazing, Candace. Let me get you this platform, that platform, fly you here. And then when I was like, oh yeah, and I know this is going to be hard for you, but you guys are not going to have to stand up to the Jew. Get out of here. Get out of here. You are gone. You are banned from Australia for speech. I mean, think about this. This is crazy. And I'm going, so what was I to you, actually? I was never, there was a difference here. You didn't agree with me principally on BLM stuff. You didn't, because if the principles held, if you said, I believe in free speech, and you have to sometimes stand up in your own identity box and say something is wrong, they didn't agree with me principally. That troubles me.
Yeah, it should trouble you. That's what happened to Glenn Lowry. I'll just tell you an anecdote. Let's call it a October 7th and thereafter anecdote. So I wrote a book having nothing to do with Israel-Palestine. It was on Cancel Culture, this book, okay? And Glenn, and I was very critical of the cancel culture, the woke phenomenon. I didn't agree with it. I strongly disagreed with it. So Glenn Lowry has me on, okay? Now remember, I said I had given up on Gaza. And one of the things I did after I had given up on Gaza was write this book on cancel culture. Totally different subject. So, Glenn Lowry has me on. Truth be told, I didn't want to talk about Gaza. I didn't want to talk about Israel-Palestine. I had left it behind. Speaking factually, not proudly, I had left it behind. So Glenn Lowry says, he begins the show, it's under YouTube, you could see it. He begins the show by saying, I would be remiss in my responsibility if I didn't ask you about your views on Israel-Palestine. I didn't bring up the subject. He brought up the subject. Anybody curious, go watch the program. I had no intention whatsoever of talking about it. He brought it up. So he asked me my opinions. I expressed them. And then we went on to talk about the book. Okay? Next week, he does a program. Doesn't tell me anything. He and John McWhorter, they devote about 20 or 30 minutes. I didn't watch the whole thing. It was kind of too painful. Not because of what they said about me, but the smarminess, the fact that they didn't alert me to what they were going to do. You know, the African American spiritual scandalized my name. I gave my brother my right hand, and as soon as ever my back was turned, he scandalized my name.
That's how I
Do
feel.
you call that a brother? No. Behind my back, they start to psychoanalyze me. John McWhorter. I mean, he knew me for the length and breadth of the program. And what happens? After October 7th, Glenn Lowry gets pressure. You have to talk about what's happening here. And he has on Omer Bartov, who's a senior scholar, says Israel is committing genocide. What happens? The Manhattan Institute pulls the plug. You didn't know that? Oh, I'm surprised he didn't have you on. Yeah, they pulled the plug. Lost all the money. So, on this, John McWhorter, he says, every day these poor Jewish students, they have to hear all of this anti-Semitism at Columbia University. So, just as a factual matter, all this anti-Semitism, first of all, legally, even if they were being anti-Semitic,
Right.
they have the right. But is there any truth to it? So the most substantial report on the subject came out from Harvard. 314 pages, alleging anti-Semitism. I read the report. I don't see anything. I said, probably missed something. That happens. I reread it. Actually, I see less. It's what Brianna Joy Gray would call a nothing burger. There's nothing there. So you try to figure out, here's the question. How could you fill 314 pages on anti-Semitism at Harvard when if you actually read the report, there's nothing there? Evidence of anti-Semitism, there's nothing.
If your child has used Roblox, you might be owed
Hey,
significant
Rita. Hey,
compensation
Ellen.
from
Hey,
a lawsuit
Nelda.
currently underway. Find out if...
So then you see the trick. There's a little verbal trick. The trick is, they say, quote, for the purposes of this report, we are going to define anti-Semitism as any time Jewish students, in particular, they said, Israeli Jewish students, every time they feel that they're being excluded in the classroom or being excluded in extracurricular
Hey, Pete.
activities or they're being excluded in social life. That's going to be the definition of anti-Semitism. Well, what does that mean de facto? So there are all these Israelis who are coming over to Harvard after serving in Gaza, right? And you're commanded now by Harvard in the name of what they call inclusiveness and pluralism. You have to pal around with them. And if you don't pal around with them, you're an anti-Semite. That's literally, I am not exaggerating a jot.
If you don't want to be friends with murderers,
Exactly.
you're an anti-Semite.
If you don't
Well,
want,
maybe that's the new definition.
right, if you don't want to,
Maybe I've been an anti-Semite my whole life.
right,
I guess what they're saying.
if you don't want to hang around with child killers,
Yeah.
you're an anti-Semite.
If you don't like Jeffrey Epstein, if you don't like Jeffrey Epstein, you're an anti-Semite. I feel like people that abuse children also. I get what we're doing out the definition. Okay,
Yeah,
so
so it's essentially
Anytime you don't agree with them,
coming from the top
And-
down that we have to
and the
normalize
thing, yeah,
child killers. We have to say, okay, Candace is, when she applied to Harvard, she had worked in a food kitchen, and she put that in her personal statement. And Joe here, he helped build a sanitation system in the Congo. And then there is Yaakov. Yaakov killed children in Gaza. No, really. And we're supposed to treat all three as the same in the name of inclusiveness and pluralism. Now, that to me is a dictionary definition of insanity. I had a long exchange with a person I count as a friend. I like him very much, Cornell West. It was a public exchange, and another woman who I absolutely like. Her name is Nadine Strassen, the former executive director of the ACLU. And we got into, there was no animus, hostility, but it was intense. Because Dr. West's argument was, if we excluded everybody who had blood in their hands, or who propagated ideas that caused blood to be on your hands, he said that would exclude a large part of the Harvard faculty. You know, they're advisors to governments, and they write books which influence public opinion. He said, that's a slippery slope if you start that kind of exclusion. And Nadine Strassen, she said that we have to invite everybody because the only way you can get the truth is hearing out all opinions. And I have to say that they can defend themselves, and they did in the course of the exchange. But to me, because I do tend to, like yourself, I gather, I do tend to personalize things. So let's say after World War II, there's a Nazi concentration camp guard. Because those were perfectly ordinary people who were guards in the camp. And one of them is an exchange student at Harvard. Perfectly possible. Okay? Now you're telling me I should pal around with them?
if you don't want to be called an
anti-German.
Yeah.
I should be inclusive.
Well, nobody was more inclusive of the Nazis than the American CIA with Operation Paperclip and just giving them new identities.
Hey, Willie.
But
when it's convenient, they want you to forget everything someone does. When it's not convenient, don't ever forget what this person has done or who their family and grandfather is. At a drop of a hat, they decide.
Totally agree. But you know what? That's not me. And I don't believe that's Dr. West. And I don't believe it's Nadine Strassen. I believe that in the real world, if they had to confront that situation, they wouldn't pal around with them.
No.
You know?
Of course they wouldn't.
And that was the command at the end of this 314-page report that you have to be inclusive of the Israeli Jewish students. We have to be pluralistic. No.
Which, by the way, one of the most offensive.
They called it, you have to stop shunning them. That's the word.
I'm actually
Shun.
comfortable shunning murderers.
Totally,
Call me whatever
totally
you need to
agree.
call me. That's why I always say you got to get over their game of ad hominem attacks, because if we've got to be called names, not hang out with murderers, we got to get comfortable with that real fast.
That's exactly. You got to get comfortable real fast with murderers. No, that was the anti-Semitism. A large. No, I wouldn't, certainly not a majority, but a significant number of the campus protesters were Jewish. How is it that they didn't detect this rampant anti-Semitism?
Hey, Alicia Little here, and I'm excited to announce that the
Y'all, please double tap the face of the screen. Hit the like button for AunTeaFee. Like, share, and subscribe. Join the membership. Let's get this tea. Let's get a better understanding of the truth. Okay? Come on.
Also want to tell you guys about PDS debt, because debt from credit cards is not an accident. It's actually a system. When he found out that his friend...
Oh, I'm sorry.
going to be reunited with somebody who's in this camp with me. He gets to up to shaking this person's hand. You can't even, if I said, you know what, I think it was 5 million, forget it. I mean, it is very precious and protected, and as I've sort of began reading industry, I want to talk to you about the Holocaust, and please allow me to be offensive. Started drinking Field of Greens. Each fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens was doctor selected for and protected. And as I've sort of began reading more books, I do have a theory, and you may be offended by this theory, you can push back on it. But particularly, I felt even more confirmed in this theory. Are you familiar with Nicholas Gruner?
No.
Okay, so Nicholas Gruner was an actual Auschwitz camp survivor. He was on the march, same march as your parents were on.
My father.
Yeah, your father was on, and he wrote a book in Yiddish about his experiences. And there was his friend who was with him on this walk, who he wanted to reunite, wrote this book in Yiddish. And when he found out that his friend had wrote this book, and it had been translated into English, he went to go meet him, right? And it was like, I'm going to be reunited with somebody who's in this camp with me. He gets to up to shaking this person's hand, and he's like, you've taken on the identity of this, you're not the real survivor. That person whose hand he shook was Elie Wiesel. You might be familiar with him because he wrote the book Night, and it was proven that he lied about certain parts of it. Nobody knew why, what this was. And so he then spent the rest of his life, Nicholas Gruner, dedicated to telling people that this man was effectively a gypsy who stole the identity of a real person. And he said, Nicholas rolled up his sleeve. He's like, we all have tattoos. He's not going to have one because he's not the real guy. This guy took his identity. Well, it turns out that Elie Wiesel was a cousin to Robert Maxwell. Right, fascinating. Right, absolutely fascinating. Robert Maxwell wrote about it in his own book, his authorized biography, and we know.
Hold on, is she saying Ghislaine Maxwell, Daddy Robert Maxwell? Her folk was fake too. Hold on, let's go. He didn't have the mark. Come on, Candace. Spit it out.
Going to be reunited with somebody who's in this camp with me. He gets to up to shaking this person's hand, and he's like, you've taken on the identity of this you're not the real survivor. That person whose hand he shook was Elie Wiesel. You might be familiar with him because he wrote the book Night, and it was proven that he lied about certain parts of it. Nobody knew why, what this was. And so he then spent the rest of his life, Nicholas Gruner, dedicated to telling people that this man was effectively a gypsy who stole the identity of a real person. And he said, he rolled up, Nicholas rolled up his sleeve. He's like, we all have tattoos. He's not going to have one because he's not the real guy. This guy took his identity. Well, it turns out that Ellie White Weitzel was a cousin to Robert Maxwell, right? Fascinating, right? Absolutely fascinating. Robert Maxwell wrote about it in his own book, his authorized biography. And we know Robert Maxwell, obviously, who everything about there is to know about him. And I was fascinated by this idea that there were people who were stealing the identity, whether dead or alive, of people who had actually been in the Auschwitz camps, building on their stories in whatever way. And it's sad that nobody knows Nicholas Gruner's name. People should know his name because it was a valiant fight, and he to the very end said there are people who are stealing our identities. And I go, I've got this feeling that happened a lot more than we think it happened. This is one guy, and by the way, Robert Maxwell then purchased a massive stake early on in McGraw Publishing, McGraw Hill, which means that, and then his wife was traveling around with Ellie Weitzel, and this guy was like, this was not prisoner number whatever it was. He took his identity, and that's a really terrifying thing to think about, that people with power saw, okay, these people were in camps, maybe they perished, we can take their identities, take their stories, whatever it is. He never found out what happened to his friend. He assumes he died sometime after the camp, and he did write, it was his friend who wrote the manuscript in Yiddish, and then Ellie Weitzel adopted that. And now we have
still
today,
an identity,
as you determine, a Holocaust industry. I'd like you to describe that, but just what I'm telling you, I mean, isn't that just the most terrifying thing ever?
We don't really know each other, and we're having a serious conversation now, and we should try to parse it, just mean analyze it carefully.
Yeah.
So let me give you, as I understand it, the situation, not just from family history, but from having read quite a lot in the subject at a certain point in my life, having read quite a lot, I would say almost obsessively because of my family history, and having written on aspects of it. The estimates are there was an extermination campaign by the Nazis. We don't know. Two main questions remain open.
Can you imagine
two
what
questions remain open.
What really
the two
goes
questions that
on
remain
under our
open
nose?
are when.
And now
when did
our
it
eyes
begin?
are seeing
That
a lot
still
of these
is
truths.
an ambiguous
Absolutely.
area. When did this Nazi extermination camp actually begin? Nazi extermination plan. And we still don't know with any kind of certainty why. What was Hitler's exact motive at that point? So the when and the why, they remain gray areas. Now, I have to, for people who are listening, I have to be careful. I stopped reading about the subject about 20 years ago. So there may be new scholarship which supersedes what I have just said. But that's it. Here are the two crucial facts. One, I don't consider it crucial. The estimates by the best historians are between 5.2 and 5.4 million Jews were killed. It doesn't make much of a difference. Let's say it wasn't, but let's say it was 3 million. That doesn't make it better, obviously. Okay, but the estimates are between 5.2 and 5.4.
If you live in an Illinois, Wisconsin, or Missouri zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, listen carefully. I was an insurance agent for 30 years.
Now, coming to your question. The Nazi extermination was very efficient. You can use a slur and say it was done with German efficiency. And to some extent,
Trump.
there's a truth to that. You know, what makes a cliche.
Trump is German. Are we all understand that? His daddy is German. He playing with them Jews, but he is German.
A cliche is, it's most of the time true. What is a generalization? A generalization is something that's generally true. What's a stereotype? A A stereotype is a generalization that you don't like. If you say Jews are smart, Jews like that generalization. If you say something else about Jews, that's a stereotype. But the Germans carried out the Nazi extermination with great efficiency. Why is that important? There were very few survivors. Now, Candace, I'm not trying to, I don't have an axe to grind. I'm just telling you factually. You take my mother. She had 2 sisters and a brother. They were exterminated. She had a mother and father. They were exterminated. My father, I don't know the details, but I know for sure he had 1 sister and 1 brother. These were taboo subjects in my home. Can't talk about them. So I don't know the details. I know they were wiped out. One of the reasons I wasn't bar mitzvahed, I did not have a bar mitzvah. And do you know why? I mean, there are many reasons. My parents were resolute atheists. But one of the reasons was there was no one to invite. You see, a bar mitzvah is a big family event. The cousins, the aunts, the uncles, and so forth. Of course, the person being bar mitzvah invites his or her friends, or it's his friends. The person being bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. But the big thing, it's a family occasion. There was no one to invite. There was no one to invite because the Nazi extermination was very efficient. So the estimates are, at the end of World War II, the estimates are less than 100,000 Jews survived the Nazi Holocaust. Less than 100,000. So that means, where did all these survivors come from? Everybody claims there was a period when the Holocaust industry was in full, was very lucrative. There was a period where everybody claimed to be a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they all claimed to be Holocaust survivors. They weren't Holocaust survivors. There was a person who...
I actually think they were, but I fear they were survivors of another Holocaust that was going on at the same time, and they may have been, in part, executing it, which is a question that Alexander Solzhenitsyn writes, which is, where did all the Bolsheviks go? And I think, and this is again a theory, while we're allowed to think, well, this is a good opportunity right now to take on the identity of people who perished and just rewrite history of ourselves as the victims. And when I saw that Nicholas Gruner story, I was like,
are they saying
that's
that
so terrifying, because it's
these
required
survivors
reading
are
coming
really
up
not
in schools. You have to
survivors?
read the story. There's tons of Holocaust people that we could be reading your books, talking about your parents and what they lived through, and they picked...
What?
Survivors come from.
Hey, Rosemary.
Everybody claims there was a period when the Holocaust industry was in full, was very lucrative. There was a period where everybody claimed to be a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they all claimed to be Holocaust survivors. They weren't Holocaust survivors. There was a person who...
I actually think they were, but I fear they were survivors of another Holocaust that was going on at the same time, and they may have been, in part, executing it, which is a question that Alexander Solzhenitsyn writes, which is, where did all the Bolsheviks go? And I think, and this is again a theory, while we're allowed to think, well, this is a good opportunity right now to take on the identity of people who perished and just rewrite history of ourselves as the victims. And when I saw that Nicholas Gruner story, I was like, that's so terrifying, because it's required reading coming up in schools. You have to read the story. There's tons of Holocaust people that we could be reading your books, talking about your parents and what they lived through, and they picked this man. And
look, I will get to the Elie Wiesel. I know it well. In fact, I'm not trying to promote the book. It came out 25 years ago, but I write a lot about Elie Wiesel in the book, okay? So...
don't keep your mouth shut.
We both knew a person who had the tattoo. The only place there were tattoos were Auschwitz.
Auschwitz,
It was
yeah.
the only camp where they had the tattoos. And I said to my father about this person, and my father had the tattoo. I always knew the number. It was like 028 128, something like that. I had memorized the number, but now I've forgotten it. I said to my father, I said, do you think he was in Auschwitz? And my father said, no. And my father was not a conspiracy person.
Yeah.
No, he just said very matter-of-factly, non-judgmentally. He just said no. And I said to my father, I asked my father, so where did he get the number? And my father said, and I'm quoting him now, he said, well, after the war, some people took it off and some people put it on.
Oh,
But he didn't say it as a joke.
Yeah, he's just
my
like, this
father
is,
was,
the
he
incentive here is to have one.
Yes,
Yeah, it's bad.
yes.
It's incentives. It's incentive culture, obviously. That's
So,
what is welfareism. If you're going to incentive bad behavior, people are going to do it.
Yes.
Wow.
I without going into that because that was
Wow.
on tangent, but yes. And my father said very matter-of-factly. So my mother used to get very frustrated because even more so than my father, she could never let go of what happened to her family. She couldn't let go. And there was something that really more than grated on her when people who didn't pass through what she passed through claimed to have passed through it. And she once exclaimed in a kind of bitter
Wow.
irony, she said, if everybody who claims to be a Holocaust survivor actually is one, who did Hitler kill? So everybody's claiming to be a Holocaust survivor. There are very few, a handful survived that ordeal. Now,
Especially particularly in Auschwitz, because there's so many were like, well, you said the tattoo.
there were the death camps, and then there were the concentration camp death camps. There were both work camps and Auschwitz and Majdanek. I once spoke to the world's leading authority in the Nazi Holocaust, Raoul Hilberg, who was very kind to me. He was of your political persuasion. He was a right-wing Republican. He swore by the Wall Street Journal. I was at the other end of the spectrum, and I was a total pariah. However, don't ask me why, because I've never really understood it. He kept defending me. I was always very nervous around him. I didn't want to say anything wrong because he was kind of my savior. He was saying that what Finkelstein is writing is true. And when the tenure battle erupted at DePaul University, he gave this very moving defense of me. And he said that I told the truth. It was at a very big price, he said. But he said, in the history of those writing about history, Finkelstein's place is secure. In any event, I once asked him, he lived in Vermont. He taught at the University of Vermont. He was very much his own person, so he could never get a job at a top university. He said very few women survived Majdanek. That's where my mother was. Very few people. So it was worse, actually. The women's section was worse than at Auschwitz. In any event,
Wow.
This game, you're not ready for it.
once the Holocaust industry became an industry, they were very picky about who they promoted. Now, Elie Wiesel was a fanatical supporter of Israel. He was fanatically pro anything that any American government would say. And so he became the spokesperson for the Holocaust. As to his personal history, I'm just going to give you the details as I understand them, okay? he claims he was in Auschwitz. He claimed that he was in Auschwitz. And he describes in the book Night, he describes some scenes which Raoul Hilberg, the person I mentioned to you, from the person who defended me in for reasons which still remain, except integrity, which is so rare. He was the chief historian for the Holocaust Memorial in Washington. Elie Wiesel personally picked him because Wiesel knew his stuff. And he said there were certain scenes that Wiesel describes in Night that occurred at Auschwitz. Hilberg said they could not have happened. They could not
Well, without
have
question,
happened.
it didn't happen. You
And
read Nicholas
so,
Gruner, yes.
when Wiesel was confronted with Hilberg saying they happened, he doubled down and said they did happen. Wiesel, I knew some, not many, I knew some first-rank Holocaust historians, and they told me he was deported in 1944 from Hungary. That was one of the last deportations from Hungary. And he maybe passed through Auschwitz en route to a labor camp. That may have happened, according to the people I talked to. But there was clearly, I discuss it at some length in that little book. Wiesel figures not in a cameo role, but he has a major, he's a star of the Holocaust industry.
Yeah, I'm glad that I put Nicholas Gruner on your radar because he just knew the guy. He literally stole his identity. I mean, it's a crazy.
I
he knew
remember-
him because obviously when you're in a camp together, and he was like just so excited to re-meet this someone who had this experience with him and described the march, everything, and the soles of his feet, and he just was like, what he did was the real person wrote the manuscript, and this gypsy just took on his identity. And when he describes that moment of being on the plane, what am I going to say to him? Like, we haven't seen each other. And then, like, could you imagine being confronted and going, wait a second, you're not Norm Finkelstein. You're not Norm. That is, and he said, but he had cameras ready, and they, like, shook hands. And then he even said, what's even crazier, is the real Holocaust survivor spoke Hungarian.
Well, that is
And Elie couldn't speak Hungarian at this time when this happened, and so he says to him, let's speak in English. It's just an incredible thing to comprehend that, and I think the best that I can guess is that you had these psychopaths, like, true Bolshevik psychopaths who were like, well, we can't just walk in and be like, well, I was just kind of running the Bolshevik camp over here, mass murdering Christians, so what better way to reintroduce yourself into society than to be like, I'm the ultimate victim, I survived the Auschwitz camp. I think that's what happened. I think they laundered they laundered through, and that's why there's so much confusion, and people are like, you're denying that people died here, because there's some people that are like, well, nothing ever happened, and it's like, no, something definitely. You read this guy Nicholas Gruner and you're like, this happened. And there are some people who never lived a day in their lives of that, and I say Elie Wiesel's one of them, who took their personalities, took their identities, full on gypsy.
I actually, regrettably, I read a lot on the Elie Wiesel case, and I tend to defer to Hilberg's judgment, and I think the judgment that there were in his so-called memoir, there were fabricated scenes is correct. However, I also believe that, when you explore any concrete situation, there are going to be things that are inexplicable. You just can't explain how or why that happened. And you have to accept that in any historical reconstruction, there are going to be inexplicable, enigmatic phenomena. And I think in the case of the Nazi Holocaust, it's sort of like the Flat Earth Society. When you want to deny a certain phenomenon, of course, you have the right to deny it. That's as to deny a person the right to deny is what the great British philosopher John Stuart Mill called the presumption of infallibility.
Can y'all please double
that
tap
you know the truth, and
the
nobody
face of your
else
screen? Hit
can
the
know
like button
truth.
for me,
No, We're
please.
fallible creatures. We're capable of error, and we always have to leave some corner of our mind open to the possibility that our deepest, most sacred beliefs, our foundational beliefs,
Could be wrong.
could be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Could be wrong. However, if you're like in the Flat Earth Society and you say the world is not round, in order to be credible, you have to respond to the mountain of evidence that's accumulated that shows the world is round. You have the right to say the earth is flat, but you also, if you're responsible, have to respond to a massive accumulation of evidence to the contrary. If you can't respond to it or don't respond to it, in my opinion, you're not entitled to be taken seriously.
Yeah, you're just a fraud.
Yeah, fine. You're just a fraud. We agree.
So this is the keyboard.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
a brand new balance training device.
A lot of frauding
What makes
going
it
on.
really cool is that it's
A lot of frauding
So-
going on.
My parents could be iconoclastic. They could be very bitter by the way the Nazi Holocaust has been not just misused, but weaponized to justify all sorts of things which in many places are not just deplorable, but abominations. However, in all their anger and indignation, which was transmitted to me, it never would have occurred to them to deny the horror that they endured. So when I wrote the little book, The Holocaust Industry, which caused me a lot of public grief and defamation.
Which means it's a must read. I know what that means. It's a must read.
When I wrote the book, I was always very clear from day one. I am not writing about the Nazi Holocaust. That's not what this book is about. There are many people with a vast knowledge of the subject. I have only a tiny, by comparison, a tiny amount of knowledge of the subject. This book is about how the Nazi Holocaust was, as if you can read the subtitle.
Reflections on the exploitation of Jewish suffering.
Yes, it's about how a horrendous event.
I think he gonna try to. I think Trump is trying to do that in the U.S. I think they're plotting. Him and his gangsters, fraudsters.
And the exploitation now has reached the point that it makes people so angry at how it's being exploited in the cheapest, most vulgar, and also, not speaking as a person who's not religious, but sinful ways to say justifying the genocide in Gaza, that it causes people to then want to deny it ever happened. I believe we have to make the distinction. It happened, but also the way it has been manipulated, exploited, weaponized has also happened. Both of those things happened, just like, as I discussed with people, I was on the program with Brianna Joy Gray a few days ago. I said, when you start talking about Jews and money, it very easily feeds a stereotype. However, it's also true. There is a problem here. A billionaire class of Jewish supremacists are now flagrantly, brazenly using money as a blackmail weapon to silence not just criticism of Jews, but silence criticism of an ongoing genocide as we speak. And we have to address that also. Now, it's very hard to address it without feeding the stereotype.
But I think and that's why it's so important for me to constantly be addressing Jewish Americans, because something that they're very good at doing is pretending that there's no differences. Like that's identity politics. Like you're Jewish, therefore this is your history, therefore this is how you should be responding to this. And that gives them so much power. So it's very important to study the Bolsheviks, right? You had Jewish people who were suffering actually and legitimately, and you had Jewish psychopaths, okay, who were mass murdering, Henry Yagoda, okay, mass murdering Christians. The same thing is happening right now, okay? You have literal psychopaths, and I would describe them as Zionists, okay? Zionist psychopaths who are happy to oversee the slaughter of children. Some people I think actually look happy when you talk about it. It's so disturbing spiritually to see people who can joke about suffering and things of that nature.
Because
And
they
then you have people
sacrifice
who are dealing with
kids.
the kickback of those people who don't have platforms, who are
They look
being
at it
treated as
the
if it is, because both of
sacrificial way
everybody around the
for
world
them.
needs to understand it is possible for you can be any identity and to have multiple things going on at once. And I truly believe that the Zionist ideology is an evil. It is this idea that it's an evil because it's a supremacist ideology that says you can trample over anybody's rights as long as it is like, you serve Israel. And that's what I have seen in my experience, is that even people who I thought were fundamentally good, when it came down to it, turned into and celebrated the death of children
originate with
because
God,
those
but
children
the
were
whole
Palestinian
world is
and were
lying
not Israeli.
in
And
the power
it's
of
shocking. It
the
still
wicked
continues to
one.
shock me to recognize that.
I want to just say a couple of things. Candace, you don't know me from a hole in the
Yeah,
wall,
that's why
and I barely know you.
people need to
It's just
get
a fact.
their
I'm
life
not a
in
web
order
person.
with
I've
Christ.
said that. I am from the left tradition. You are from
The right.
The Bronx,
right.
North Philly.
And my reading of, say, Russian history is going to be radically different than your own.
Bronx, North Philly. Do you know Bibi Netanyahu? He went to school in Philly. Born in no. He from Philly too. He from New York and Philly. He went to high school in Philly. He graduated. Did you know that? In Philly.
And I have to say that because there'll be people
Jesus
who,
is
after
coming
watching
back
this,
again
say,
soon.
why didn't Finkelstein say that he is actually a supporter of Lenin and Trotsky and all those
Are you a
people?
Trotskyite?
Right, I wasn't a Trotskyist,
Jesus
but I
is
was in that,
real.
certainly
I
within that
know the
trajectory,
Lord
for sure.
is
And I
real
still
to
am.
me.
I'm an old man, but I still am. But having said that, and setting the record straight, I think you are correct that there are aspects of what's going on now that are just hugely ugly. Take a simple example. You use a computer, right? And sometimes, I don't know nowadays with computers, but Sometimes you can work on something for 3 hours. You remember the day, and then you can lose everything. You press the wrong key, everything is gone. Now they have backups and backups, but I don't know how to use them, so I lose whenever. Okay. And then you lose something that you worked on for 3 hours. Okay? And you think it's the end of the world. Oh my God. Oh my God. I worked on it for 3 hours. Oh my God. You lose 3 hours worth of information, or work and information. And then you're in Gaza. This is not being done behind the scenes. These are Israeli soldiers posting on the social media their ecstasy and their euphoria when they blow up Palestinian homes. Not 3 hours on your computer. Your whole life is vaporized. And they're thrilled. They're thrilled. You know, they have what's called in Gaza controlled demolitions.
That's everything has happened since October 7th has been a controlled demolition.
I agree with you. Everything has been with intent, to use the words of the
You're right,
1948
Mimi.
Genocide Convention. It's intent to destroy a people. Okay?
Thank you, Flip
Just one step
Mode
further. They
Action.
go into neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Where there's no Hamas, there's no nothing.
Hello.
And they just calmly rope off the area and then detonate whole neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Now,
Because they're going to turn it into a beach town.
well, they said over and over again.
Jared Kushner's
we're
on
go-
camera saying it.
Yeah, we're going to
Jared,
make Gaza, this
he
is
said
said
what?
over and over again. We're going to make Gaza unlivable. So you will have two
oh,
choices,
okay.
to stay and starve or to leave. That's
That's
why
what he
all
trying
this
to do
talk
over here.
about the Trump plan
Well,
is so
folks,
silly.
he gonna make
There's
economy
nothing
bad.
there.
Everybody gonna be on
You know,
food stamps.
95% of the homes, 95, have been vaporized.
I thought that it was 85, so it's
No,
up to 95.
It was 92% before the assaults on Rafah and Gaza City. So now it's about 95%. There is 50
God is
million
amazing. God is
tons of rubble.
Jesus, his son will come back
The main
again.
agencies, UN and international humanitarian agencies, they say that it'll take until the year 2050 to clear away the rubble. Because the rubble is mixed in with all of these toxic substances like asbestos and also unexploded ordnance. So they did. Everyone says, well, Netanyahu didn't achieve this goal. Actually, he did
Yes, he
achieve
did.
his
Of
goal.
course he did. I mean,
He said we will make Gaza unlivable.
a reason.
Either stay and starve or leave.
Now, I let
He
you make it the
achieved
first
his
time.
fundamental goal. Now he was
Ledoux.
hoping for a
Hold on.
stampede.
I let you
of
make
them
it the
leaving
first time, but
or
please don't come in here and be a
incentivized to leave
sideshow,
by the
okay?
relentless
I'm gonna
bombing
remove
and
your
artillery
comment,
firing. But now they'll leave in a trickle
okay?
because there's nothing to go back to. There's nothing there. It's been
Okay.
pulverized. So,
One of the things I want to say that I found to be especially dark about the Gaza situation.
No, I just wanted to
Yeah.
complete the thought. So, what you're saying when you say that they're actually happy about it, that's not a speculative pronouncement by you. They posted it, and they still do. They post it on their social media, what they're doing as they do it. That's a fact. You can't get it. You know, when you read a lot of the human rights reports and the reports by genocide experts, a lot of, you know what their evidence is? They're citing the social media, what the Israelis post.
It's really dark. The videos.
It's very dark.
It's very dark,
Very,
and you see something in their eyes. That's what I always say. Like, the eyes are the window to the soul.
That's the
there
devil.
That's what I say. It's demonic force that rules. That nothing. I don't care who the child was. If I saw a child suffering, I have a natural spiritual response to that. I don't care if that child is Arab, Jewish,
I don't care.
black, white. It doesn't matter. They don't have that.
Mm-mm.
Instead,
I agree,
it's
they
like, and
don't.
you see it even in the commentators who are Zionists. It's like they're trying not to
That's
crack
the
a smile
devil.
and a
He don't
joke about
care.
how many of these kids have been
I knew
killed.
that you was gonna take
It's
the
really
bait.
disturbing, but
Y'all say
I
bye
have to
to
see
the
God in
devil.
this, which is just to say that
Bye,
what's
devil.
happening in Gaza
I knew
has
you was gonna
awakened the
take the
world,
bait.
and
I knew
America
it.
is the best evidence of that because we were the most asleep,
Woo!
and we were like zombies on the Israel issue. Yeah, of course we support Israel. It's the size of New Jersey. Why can't all the talking points? And there has been this sort of radical reaction, and so that tells us that people, when they are armed with facts and knowledge, are fundamentally good. They're fundamentally good, and we're
Well,
fighting back, and it's hard.
When
I know
they
people are
have
selling
facts
out,
and knowledge.
but I
I
think
think
Cause
truth
her
is winning.
spirit is
I
so
believe
much
truth
better.
is
Y'all see,
winning,
because I said that
and we
she's
have
a
to, I
different
think,
Candace to me.
credit it to
When she came into the truth, her whole spirit changed. Yeah, when she left the cult, when she stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. It's just like, to me, like, once we realize that they have intentionally been poisoning us, right? And we stop taking the medicines and go back to the natural herbs, God-given herbs, we start feeling better. And it's like, whoa. It's like when I stopped eating meat, it wasn't that I don't like cows and I don't like, it didn't have nothing to do with none of that. But once I realized that sickness came with it, and I know for a fact by accident, I could not acknowledge that, whoa, soon as I start back eating even turkey, heartburn came back, swelling came back. My skin started going back to whatever that was, not even identifying that it was toxic. So now I won't touch it. Now I want everybody to know, yeah, this is on purpose. They are intentionally trying to take us out, and they will tell you, oh no, you can't take magnesium. Oh no. Yeah, you know why? Because that will heal you. And they're not in the business of you getting healed. You know how long it took for that just to really click? It's like, whoa. I'm telling y'all last night, even with the injection, before they had that cocktail, they was forced to tell you what God-given herbs was going to keep you alive with that virus. As soon as they got a cocktail, they was like, okay, so stop taking God's healer. We need you to get back on the poison, but we have the poison for you. What? Well, what's in it? I mean, you want me to stop taking what you told me will build my immune system naturally, and now you want me to stop to get a shot? Now, what's in the shot of these same herbs in the shot? And she looked at me, she was like, well, no, we don't, I don't know what's in it, but they have medicine for it now. And I was like, no, why would I do that? Thank you, Aaron. Why would, you don't already gave me the formula. Now you want God-given. So it's anointed, it's blessed, it's on purpose. It's on purpose. And now that y'all done made up some real quick, fast, in a hurry, and you can't tell me are any of these natural herbs in there. So now you want me to, I done detoxed, and now you want me to put toxins back in my, what? I knew then. Now, I didn't know all of this other stuff that has come out, but I knew then. I said, oh no, oh no. They're in the business. They did not make a dime until they threw together a cocktail that they cannot tell you what's in it. They can tell you, they just don't want to. But they want you now to say, okay, don't take this anymore. Get a shot. No. Hell no. No. That's mind-blowing to me. So when what they're saying right now, that's what's registering to me. And they are trying to take us out. They are not trying to heal us. Everything that we eat, we are fat, we are sick, all because of their manipulation. And then they lied and called it healthy, or they called it this, or they whatever. No. Big Mama and them didn't have all these different oils. No. We got to wake up, people. Come on. Let me hurry up and finish this.
Reasons. One is a horrible reason to credit. Israel is conducting a genocide in broad daylight.
Right.
It was very hard to conceal. But number two, it was because a large number of media outlets,
Really good. You know, they're fundamentally good, and
Well,
we're fighting back, and it's hard, and there are people that are selling out. But I think truth is winning.
I believe truth is winning.
Truth got to
And
win.
we have
Because
to, I think,
God is the truth,
credit
the way
it
and the
for two
light.
reasons. One is a horrible reason to credit. Israel is conducting a genocide in broad daylight.
Right.
It was very hard to conceal. But number two, it was because a large number of media outlets, in particular on the web, were out of control.
Injected with chemicals and
And now
hormones.
there's a
Absolutely.
retrenchment, an attempt to control TikTok, control CBS News, control CNN. They're trying to now methodically gain control again of, as the expression has it, gain control of the narrative.
Love podcasting,
Absolutely.
but hate editing. The next 30 seconds will check.
They are definitely controlling the narrative. And the more we are waking up, the madder they are getting. Now everything needs to be done quickly before they figure it out. They are not buying our
Problem.
excuses.
On our college campuses right now, there are students, professors, in fact, tenured professors, are terrified
That's Candace
saying
Owens.
anything
That's not me.
supportive of the Palestinians or critical of Israel. You remember in the spring of 2024, there were all the encampments. And you know what? The next, a whole academic year passed without anything. It was like this eerie silence.
Y'all
had
hit the like
descended
button.
on the college campuses because the
I need
students were
50
terrified.
likes
And so
or taps
the media,
on the face of your phone.
academia,
Double tap.
they're trying to regain control right now. And so I believe that people have, in particular on the college campuses, have to find, like you said earlier, it takes a lot of courage. There were a lot of students who were suspended because of the encampments. They weren't allowed to attend graduation because of the encampments. And then if you were foreign students, you were rounded up because of the encampment. It does require courage.
But I also want to remind people, when you think that requires courage, is imagine being someone in Gaza right now. Like it's such a small price to pay.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine being in Gaza.
In my opinion.
I-
And was it scary? Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like last year was easy for me and my family. But me and my husband were so committed to truth that we were just like, whatever comes, whatever cost comes. You are now in that challenge, and people say, what would you have done? We are finding out right now what people would have done when faced with a genocide. Do you turn the other way? Do you accept the money? Do you continue to be a part of the apparatus of the academia, which lies routinely? That's why I say people should read Thomas Sowell, and he will tell you that every bad idea comes from academia. It comes from the cult of academia. They will always publish the books and lie about what's happening, and it's because actually it's always been controlled. So we're trying to achieve academics when in reality it's a small club, and you got to have the right perspectives if you want to stay in it, no matter how accomplished or if you're brighter. And I really challenge people to recognize that. So you are talking about maybe losing, money.
For a young person, I try to be sympathetic. For a young person,
Well, they trying to
is a
take
big
him out, so we
price.
gotta
It's
keep
not
it
the price
real.
of Gaza, but their parents are shelling out a large amount of money.
That's the money. Money can't be a ruler.
Ivy League school costs about $80,000 a year now for a student. And then, if you saw places like Harvard, it wasn't just your college. They were blacklisting them at law firms, as in they said, literally, we're not talking again poetry. We are going to get a list of names of everybody in those encampments. They will never get a job at our law firm. That's what they were being told. You will never get a job.
Which is good.
Well,
I think I'm going to tell you this. I put the pressure on their parents, not on the kids. I say, if this is happening, we have to be ahead of them. So we need to establish our own law firms. If your kid got into Harvard, they're the cream of the crop. Great. The problem is that we are stepping into where they can control the entire plantation when we have what it takes to create our own stuff. We have to be innovative.
It's not for me to tell them. You see, they have the right to choose their own future, and they're being denied it. You know what they did at Harvard? These creepy organizations, they did not only have what were called doxing trucks, where they went around Harvard and they posted pictures of
God
the
is
students.
absolutely, and Satan know that.
And
It's crazy.
You know what else they did?
He know God is mightier.
I would.
They took the
He
trucks
just got some folk thinking that they
and they went to their
can help
parents'
him
homes,
I
conquer.
did hear that, and I commented
like
on that.
500 miles away. So I have to we have to try to step in the shoes of others.
Oh, I'm not saying they don't have a right to be traumatized by those events.
No, but I'm saying, my parents, if a truck was going up and down their block saying Norman Finkelstein is a terrorist, my parents would kill me. They would kill me.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, but I think now
So-
the point of this what you use my platform to say is parents, toughen up, okay? Because the people that are doing this are psychological terrorists. That's the reason they're doing this, is to give you that embarrassment. They have the money to embarrass you. They have the money to blacklist you. But what that actually reveals is a fundamental problem in the system, that you can be punished for doing and saying the right thing. It
Right.
means we've got to change it. Like I say to parents, pull your kids out of these schools, and I'm so happy that homeschooling is happening. Why do your kids want to go to Harvard, right? Well, because they say this is the best school. We'll give you all these networks. And they do. They have access, they have a network, you're more likely to get a job. But I'm saying that it's going to take us being bold for us to crash this system that says Norm Finkelstein can't be tenured, okay? But Barry Weiss can be the president of CBS. We are going to have to be the radicals. This is what I say in Buffer. We have a very small window of opportunity here, right? Before they start coming for speech in America, which they're trying to do.
I believe
Absolutely.
that.
And so we
I've
have
s-
to be
I've said
literally
that.
be the
I've
change.
said that.
I
They
pulled my
coming-
kids out of school.
I totally agree with you. There is an assault right now going on against freedom of speech, which is a real problem.
A real
So
problem.
when I
And
see a kid that's being put on one of their lists, there's this account where they say anti-Semite of the week, and now they're doing 22-year-olds. I said, hey guys, this is now Forbes 30 under 30. We should be hiring as soon as we see these kids that are being put on this list, and this Harvard person did this. I'm like, can I hire her? That's my mindset, right? You have a business, that's our Forbes 30 under 30, and that's the best way to look at it.
You recognize that's a very minority mindset.
No, I don't think it is anymore. I mean, looking at the staggering rates of people, and that's why they're now trying to pass laws. People are listening. I'm telling you, we're going to be encouraged. You always have to be encouraged
agree with
by
that.
the fight that they're putting up. And I'm not throwing in the towel. I think we're winning, and they're scared. That's why they're becoming more radical.
That part I agree with.
Yeah. So we say,
Yeah.
okay, we'll adapt.
Yeah.
You say our kids can't go to that school. You say our kids are going to be put on lists. We're going to treat these lists as you're highlighting these students.
Yeah, hold on for a second. Hold on.
Radical and beating people up, but I'm saying.
Honestly,
Okay.
That's our Forbes 30 under 30, and that's the best way to look at it.
you recognize that's a
Tehran.
very minority mindset.
No, I don't think it is anymore. I mean, looking at the staggering rates of people, and that's why they're now trying to pass laws. People are listening. I'm telling you, we're going to be encouraged. You always have to be encouraged
agree with
by
that.
the fight that they're putting up. And I'm not throwing in the towel. I think we're winning, and they're scared. That's why they're becoming more radical.
That part I agree with.
Yeah. So we say,
Yeah.
okay, we'll adapt.
Yeah.
You say our kids can't go to that school. You say our kids are going to be put on lists. We're going to treat these lists as you're highlighting these.
Okay,
these
hold on,
students.
y'all. I'm sorry. Let me go.
Be encouraged. You always have to be encouraged
agree with
by
that.
the fight that they're putting up. And I'm not throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
I think we're winning, and they're scared. That's why they're becoming more radical.
That part I agree with.
Yeah. So we say,
Yeah.
okay, we'll adapt.
Yeah.
You say our kids can't go to that school. You say our kids are going to be put on lists. We're going to treat these lists as you're highlighting these students. Not the actual ones that are radical and beating people up, but I'm saying
Honestly, no.
the ones who are harmless and using their right of free speech and getting buses outside. I want to hire that kid.
They're really. Look, I totally agree with you. I have looked very carefully. There were beatings going on in places like UCLA. That's when UCLA supporters of Israel attacked the encampments. It wasn't the students. A lot of the students, they were from abroad. They recognize their limits here, and they recognize don't cross certain lines. So I was at places like MIT. They were just so decent. And a lot of the professors, the professors they were too old to sit in encampments. Woodstock is over. We're heading towards Social Security. So they sent food, so much food. There was such a festive, warm feeling there. And then when I hear John McWhorter, who teaches at Columbia, saying, oh, the poor Jewish students, they have to hear day in and day out anti-Semitism. What are you talking about? That never happened. Harvard, a 314-page report, they said the clearest example of anti-Semitism, the clearest, was a student who was who was at an encampment and got beaten up. That's what they write in the report. And then if you read in yesterday's New York Times, you know what actually happened? There was an Israeli student who came up to the encampment, and he was photographing it and videotaping it. And the folks in the encampment got nervous that they were going to be, it's the younger people's expression, I don't use it, doxing. They were afraid because of those trucks going around that he was filming them to dox them. We called in my day to blacklist them, but your generation yours and the younger generation called it doxing. And so they held up their keffiyehs to block him from filming. And then there was some moment where he might have been tapped. He might have been tapped. One of the demonstrators said on the back of his book bag. And he did not file police charges for assault or anything like that. He did not. Then his father, who's the Israeli consul in Atlanta, he got into the picture. And then you see how everything is being orchestrated. And that became the main piece of evidence. They said he was assaulted. Somebody in the Congress said he was pushed to the ground. Never happened. And then Bill Ackman used, exploited, weaponized that non-incident incident to demand that Harvard close down the encampments.
I mean, it's a propagandist effort backed by a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, and by the way, that's exactly what happened to that. I think she was in Florida. We got to see, he's wearing an IDF T-shirt. She says like "F you" to him, and I pushed his phone out of the face. And within hours, Pam Bondi responded. Wow, that's amazing. I could not know that you could reach the upper echelons of government. Like, I'm like, oh, a federal response to, what a puny little kid. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you put this up there, you pretend you're a victim. We will not allow people to be, you would have thought they tarred and feathered this kid with the response that it received from the...
How many times do you push people out of your face?
I mean, learn, toughen up, kid.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
But, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying what's not okay is that they achieved a federal response within hours.
Exactly
it's
right.
completely
it
ridiculous.
It becomes totally weaponized.
Yeah.
It becomes totally weaponized.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity and combined history of its players.
I want to tell you guys about home title lock, because if you are a homeowner, you it is coming out, and it is
please double tap the
recognizes
screen.
it. It's not a chemical coating, it's real nourishment. Mimi
Hit
has
the
two
like
products
button.
from their tallow line that you should definitely know about. First, for your daily hydration, there's the Sunshine Tallow Cream. Tell me what that book is about.
In my opinion,
powerfully effective. It's a focus on skin-loving ingredients. It is coming out, and it is called Gaza's Gravediggers, an inquiry into corruption in high places. Tell me what that book is about.
In my opinion, the truth about Gaza is known now. There is...
Tell me what that book is about.
In my opinion, the truth about Gaza is known now. There is so much.
Tell me what that book is about.
In my opinion, the truth about Gaza is known now. There is so much human rights material on it. About maybe already 4 months ago, South Africa, which has been prosecuting the genocide case,
It's what?
submitted to the International Court of Justice.
It's doing what? Oh, now we'll know why he's trying to go over there and fight. Hold on, what?
I felt, when I wrote so much human rights material on it, about maybe already 4 months ago, South Africa, which has been prosecuting the genocide case.
Is that why he trying to go over there and fight, y'all?
To the International Court of Justice.
Are y'all listening? That's why Trump is trying to get
memorial. That's basically your brief.
Oh my God!
With, believe it or not, 4,000 pages of documentation. So it's. I felt when I wrote the Gaza, an inquest into its martyrdom, nobody knew anything about what was going on in Gaza. I sat down and I read through all the human rights reports, all the available information, and I tried to reconstruct the picture of what has happened to that godforsaken place. But that's not needed anymore. Like you said, most people have a general knowledge of it, and then from a scholarly academic point of view, There's such a vast amount of information available. I didn't feel I needed to repeat it. I didn't have to do what I did with the Gaza book. So instead, what I did was I looked at key figures in the international institutions. People like Pramila Patten. She was head of what was called conflict-related sexual violence. They used the abbreviation CRSV, a very clunky abbreviation. And Secretary General Gutierrez of the UN Security Council, UN system, Secretary General Gutierrez, he has her go over to Israel to document sexual violence against Israelis on October 7th. And she says, she comes back, and she says there's clear and convincing evidence, or there's reasonable grounds to suppose that Hamas committed rape on October 7th. And as of course you know, and your camera people and your team know, that Israel ran with it. They ran with it, the Hamas rapists. So you look at the evidence. I look at what she has in her report. And apart from witnesses, in quotes, Israeli witnesses, there is no evidence. Now, you might say, well, it could still have happened without witnesses. Excuse me, it could still have happened without evidence. But here's the thing. Towards the end of her report, she says there's no medical evidence of rape. There is no forensic evidence of rape. And then she has this revealing tidbit. And I hope all of your listeners will process it. She says, we have 5,000 photographs from October 7th. She said, her team looked at 5,000 photographs. She said, we looked at 50 hours of digital footage. That's not a small amount. 50 hours of digital footage. They said we looked at CCTV, we looked at traffic cams, we looked at body cams, we looked at dash cams. Okay? Now, she says, not me, not you. Pramila Patten says, we saw no photographic or digital evidence of sexual violence. She didn't even limit it to rape. She said we saw no direct photographic or digital evidence of rape. But did that stop her from concluding we have reasonable evidence? We have clear and convincing evidence? There was no evidence.
It was money.
Yeah, it was. Whether it was money, I honestly can't say in her particular.
It's a guess for me that usually when somebody comes to a conclusion like that, there's a fellowship, there's just something there that you'll find. But
then I'm not disputing that. I say as a factual thing, I can't prove it. Okay?
Okay, my battery's finna go.
I'm not saying it's not true what you said.
I'm guessing, and I don't know it's true, yeah.
If you live in a Missouri zip code and have zero
Y'all not hitting the like button, so I'm gonna have to go.
Listen carefully.
But then, as you know, Israel ran with it. And you know why they ran with it? Israelis did not need the incentive of rape to commit genocide in Gaza. They ran with it for here. Because of our own history. They knew it would resonate
this gentleman.
here.
Yep.
Because of
for telling
our
us the
own
truth
history
about so
of
much
slavery and the lynchings
that
and
has
so
been
forth.
That was also
under
behind
the carpet.
The babies
for
were put in
political
ovens,
corruption. You're
which got
absolutely
debunked.
correct.
The idea
Mimi.
here is actually what you're trying to exploit is Jewish American emotion when you hear the concept.
Sorry.
concept of Owens at all. And so that's
I think that there's,
very
I never
clear.
thought of that, but
And
there's,
he did
yeah.
get caught, by the way,
Yeah.
that he did specifically share, and this was a part of the BB trials, which are now, I don't know what the update on that is, but that a team of propagandists moved to spread lies to the Western public. So that this is exactly.
Yes, and it got weaponized here, and then another Jewish supremacist billionaire. This was Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO, Chief Operating Officer of Meta. She makes a documentary called Screams Before Silence. Now, Sheryl Sandberg, as a factual matter, you know her?
I don't know her.
Oh, I'm surprised. She's very smart.
I know who she is, but
Yeah.
I know what she wrote, her book, and
Yeah,
whatever about
Lean In.
women, lean
Yeah.
in, yeah.
She was the top student in her class in economics at Harvard. She's no fool.
She's no fool.
She knows evidence. There was, by their own admission, there was no evidence. There was no material evidence of rape. There was not. In fact, I think the evidence, it's not just an absence of evidence. The fact that there's no photographic or digital evidence, none. Now, if it were the case, there were only 3 pictures. But 5,000? Now, Candace, I don't know how old you are, but obviously you're several generations younger than myself. They said that the rapes, Israel said, that the rapes occurred in public, broad public space. Okay? And they said the witnesses were in hiding as they observed these
Okay, Mimi.
gang rapes, they said.
Have a good one.
Now, I'm not of the younger
Have
generation.
a good week.
But I certainly observe the younger generation. You know, they take pictures of everything. Everything they photograph. You're walking along the street, you see a dead pigeon, out comes the iPhone. You see a bee in the air, out comes the iPhone. You're telling me not one of these witnesses thought to photograph a gang rape? They say they're in the safety of a hiding place. None. So I think rather than cast it as no evidence of rape, I think it should be cast as overwhelming evidence that there was no rape. But that doesn't stop the top student in her year in the Harvard Economics Department from making a documentary claiming there was mass rape on October 7th by Hamas. Why does she do it?
Naturally knowledge.
It's very simple why she does it. There are the little facts,
I'm
like the ones we just spoke
30
of.
30
The
short.
pictures, the absence of medical evidence, absence of forensic evidence. There are the little facts. And then, as you well know, there is the cause.
What? The
There's
cause.
the cause. And all the uncomfortable little facts, like there's no evidence, they pale
it was
in
it was destroyed.
comparison to the cause. The cause is Am Israel Chai. Israel must live. They're complete supremacists. Now, I am not going to
They feel entitled.
with your deep-seated belief. I will
You
not
have to do
quarrel
what
with
you
it.
have to do.
Israel must live. If that's your belief, I won't quarrel with it. But it's as if a German during World War II were making propaganda films on the pretense, and they did. They made films saying the concentration camps weren't bad. They went into some of them. They
Thank
had
you,
this
Southern
newsreel
Queen.
footage, made it look like a summer home, you know. The issue now, or I should say, the issue then, during World War II,
If I
is
can
not
read this.
whether
I'm gonna
Germany
try to
should
read
live.
it, y'all.
At that point, the issue was the mass extermination of people. Nobody was denying Germany's right to live. What they were denying was Germany's execution of a genocide. And it's the same thing now. You could say, on Israel Chai, Israel must live, or Israel will live, to the end of time. Fine, you could say it. And I grant you your belief. I don't happen to agree with it, but I'm not going to deny you that. I can understand that sentiment. But when that sentiment, in the midst of what's happening in Gaza, now, and that part of it is, it's not just morally unacceptable. You're just a propagandist for genocide. She's no different, and I'll say it, and Ms. Sandberg, and I'm not going to deny you your achievements and your accomplishments. I will not. I recognize it's hard work. And she wasn't born rich. I've heard people who know her. She was a hard worker. It's not Barry Weiss. No, it's not. So I'm not going to deny you your achievements, but you're no different than Leni Riefenstahl. That was the famous film propagandist for Hitler. And she did a very famous, happened to be very gifted in film. She used it for the wrong purpose. She had made a famous film called Triumph of the Will, glorifying Hitler. You're no different. Okay, you're not on the scale of Leni Riefenstahl, but you're a propagandist. This is not about let Israel live. The issue is let Palestine live. That's the issue right now. And
Hold on.
you have
Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to
recruited yourself
keep this phone
as a propagandist
working.
for a genocide. And by the way, Ms. Sandberg, that's just not my opinion. It's, as the most recent Washington poll.
Hold on, y'all. Let me pause this. It's almost, hold on. I'm almost out of juice, and it's about to die, and I'm trying to keep it alive. Hold on. I forgot you started over. Oh, yeah, this is part 3. Yep, and I need to add the Nigeria on this one. So hold on. So let me bring that over here, because I am almost out of juice. Bear with me. Yep, this part 3, and it was good too. This was a good one. Oh, that Bible. They talking about God's chosen black people. Ooh, I know they don't want to hear that. Oh, no. They don't want to hear that. No. Hold on, y'all. Let me bring that over here. Cut the volume up, ma'am.
Showed 40% of American Jews believe it's a genocide. You have self.
I don't.
I'm not going.
Okay, let's go here.
When that sentiment in the midst.
Yeah, I need for y'all to hit the like button. I'm having to hold it now.
Gaza, now, and that part of it is, it's not just morally unacceptable. You're just a propagandist for genocide. She's no different, and I'll say it, than Ms. Sandberg, and I'm not going to deny you your achievements and your accomplishments. I will not. I recognize it's hard work. And she wasn't born rich. I've heard people who know her. She was a hard worker. It's not Barry Weiss. No, it's not. So I'm not going to deny you your achievements.
Oh, wait a minute. Why is it not?
But you're no different than Leni Riefenstahl.
Why
That
is it
was
not?
the famous film propagandist for Hitler. And she did a very famous, happened to be very gifted in film. She used it for the wrong purpose. She had made a famous film called Triumph of the Will, glorifying Hitler. You're no different. Okay, you're not on the scale of Leni Riefenstahl, but you're a propagandist. This is not about let Israel live. The issue is let Palestine live. That's the issue right now. And you have self-recruited yourself as a propagandist for a genocide. And by the way, Ms. Sandberg, that's just not my opinion. It's, as the most recent Washington poll showed, 40% of American Jews believe it's a genocide. You have self-recruited yourself as a propagandist for genocide, as does Mr. Van Jones. That's your job title as of now.
You know, it's something that I want to reiterate as we close here, and then I want to basically direct people where they can find your book. But I have said this over and over again, and I think it's starting to register with people. If you side with evil, you should remember that evil is always an orphan. If you are finding someone that feels nothing when they kill a child, you are dealing with somebody that has a capacity for evil that you mean nothing. They won't even flinch if they have to kill you too. This is something that I have really taken the time to explain to people. Like if you will, and that includes you, Jewish Americans, right? When we're speaking about Bibi Netanyahu and people with that capacity for evil, there is nothing to those individuals.
She calling out Bibi
Be
Netanyahu.
very careful when you're allying with evil to realize that it will snap in 2 seconds and take you out. Evil's always an orphan.
I would just comment on that. You know, I think it cuts both ways. One of the questions that's always been asked is it possible for a person to be evil, a mass murderer, in, so to speak, one compartment of his or her life, and then be just a very...
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I agree it's an open question, but if you ever have time, one film which very much struck me, nobody's ever heard of it, you should watch it. It's called The Music Box. And it's about a young woman, a lawyer. She lives in Chicago. Her father sacrificed everything in his life but she can get through law school. Okay? And the film begins, she loves her father to death. The father loves her to death. Okay? who was a wonderful father to her. And the film begins with the U.S. government presenting her father with papers that he was a mass murderer during World War II in Hungary. Okay? Her father asks her to defend him.
Oh.
I don't want to give away the ending because some people may watch it, the music box.
It explores that theme.
And she
And
didn't.
I think you will be touched and moved by how that whole story unfolds. Whether you can be a monster in one compartment of your life and a loving family member in the other. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I think it is a complicated question, but it's worth pondering.
Okay, hold on, Candace. It just depends. They didn't go. So listen. Now, I know she was playing over there with the Zionists. But Christ came to save the world from sin. And the only way that we are saved from sin is to accept him as Savior. Bible says, no man stir up righteousness within him own self, lest you brag. See, if we had that type of power, we would really think that we had all power in our hands instead of God having all power in his. He came because there was no redemption of sin. So can you have been a bad person at some point in your life, but a loving, caring father once you started having kids or whatever, whenever God came in and turned your life around and you surrendered? The answer is yes. That's why there's no sin bigger than the other. So in her mind, I'm assuming, and probably in a lot of people's mind, she's measuring sin. And we can't do that. We can't do that. So even if I say I would never do it, and I probably wouldn't. But because whatever because we always gonna say ours is little and somebody else's is big. But God measures them the same. He said there is only but one act that is not forgivable, and that is to blaspheme against the Holy Spirit. So she's off right here. And a lot of times we are off because we want to measure it. And we measure it up against our wrongdoing. And that's not how God operates. If somebody didn't have a heart, was heartless before, and God massaged their hearts and turned their life around, and now they have compassion, they have empathy, they have love for people. Lord, I am so sorry. I just, oh my God. And you think God is not going to judge that heart? That he gets all the credit for turning around? Yeah, no. She off right here. But a lot of people are. And I need for people to understand, and maybe she needs to visit the two thieves on the cross And I challenged this one time at a retreat in the country. And the pastor's wife of a visiting church, because at that time I was with an ex-boyfriend's family. And she was saying that you're saved by works. The Bible says you're not saved by works. You're saved by grace. Nobody's hands is clean enough. We all fall short. So I asked her about the thief on the cross. This church wife over every auxiliary could not satisfy my question, so she got upset with me. If we're saved by works, why was one of the thieves that believed in Christ, why did God say as of this day? Now, he didn't wash away the punishment for the sin. He didn't wash it away. But he granted him eternal life because he believed. God didn't say, okay, I'm going to get you down and you go and you live a clean life. No. He said, on his death, at his death, he says, as of this day. So if your heart can't process that, then you need to dig deep into the two thieves on the cross. They were both sinful. One was a believer, one was not. One was saved, one was not. He died still being who he was, and the only difference is at that point that God accepted his plea. He granted him access that day. Okay? So I'm gonna agree to disagree with her. You can if God changed you. He came to save the world, not condemn it. And he came because there was no redemption of sin. He had to die in order to set us free. Let's go.
Excuse me? How do you read so many books?
I don't. I listen.
Oh, I'm glad my battery let me get that out because it's clowning now.
And it will read it out.
And people with that capacity for evil, there is nothing to those individuals but themselves. And you have to be very careful when you're allying with evil to realize that it will snap in 2 seconds and take you out. Evil's always an orphan.
I would just comment on that. You know, I think it cuts both ways. One of the questions that's always been asked is it possible for a person to be evil, a mass murderer, in, so to speak, one compartment of his or her life, and then be just a very...
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I agree it's an open question, but if you ever have time, one film which very much struck me, nobody's ever heard of it.
It depends on if you give your life to Christ.
And it's about a young woman, a lawyer. She lives in
It don't erase the punishment. It just erase
sacrificed
your eternal resting place.
So she can get through law school. Okay? And the film begins, she loves her father to death. The father loves her to death. Okay? He was a wonderful father to her. And the film begins with the U.S. government
Didn't Moses
presenting
kill?
her father with papers that he was a mass murderer during World War II in Hungary. Okay? Her father asks her to defend him. I don't want to give away the ending because some people may watch it, the music box.
But it explores that theme.
And you will be, I think you will be touched and moved by how that whole story unfolds. Whether you can be a monster in one compartment of your life and a loving family member in the other. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I think it is a complicated question, but it's worth pondering.
Yeah, it definitely is worth pondering. And so I want to point them in the direction, by the way, where can they get your forthcoming book? Is that out now?
No, it'll be out hopefully in January.
So in the interim, you guys, if you all of these topics that we covered today are really important. So the Holocaust industry, we all know it's happening. Finally, we were at a circumstance where the people can go backwards and understand more about how that happened. Also, Gaza, an inquest into its martyrdom. If you are just starting to realize something is very wrong and you need to independently educate yourself, that is a good place to start. And lastly, I'll burn that bridge when I get to it. And these are his heretical thoughts on identity politics, cancel culture, and academic freedom. I'm sure some of this he and I disagree on and agree on, but what I will say is that one of my favorite things is that this issue is bringing people together.
Absolutely.
From other sides, and that needs to happen.
That
we need to
I
start
agree.
allying ourselves and recognize whether you view yourself on the left or the right, doesn't matter.
That don't matter.
Do you follow goodness or do you follow evil at your core? Anything that you would like to add before we get you out of here?
No, I want to say,
This was
first of all,
very
when I was first on your
enlightening.
program, which is about 2 years ago now, I appreciate the fact that you listened. You listened. And I was on with Jordan Peterson's daughter. I forgot her name.
Kayla Peterson.
Yeah. And she listened. You don't have to agree with me. And there are many things I said today we didn't agree on. But I respect the fact that you were a good listener. And I would also say that if you disagree with me, Mr. Shapiro, Ben Shapiro, Sam Harris, Van Jones, if you disagree with me, stop trying to, not in the case of Van Jones, but the others, come up and just talk about it. Try to be Candace Owens. Listen, and then you can respond just like she did. What's the fear? Why are you so afraid? You've received countless requests to debate me, and each and every one of them you've turned down. I sent a list, a very long list, to Piers Morgan of people who they say, who would you like to debate? And all of them turned it down. I put Ben Shapiro on the list. I put Sam Harris on the list. I would be happy to debate Bill Maher, even though I believe he's a moron. I'd be happy to debate him. Defend yourself. So I believe you should have the courage of your convictions. Ms. Sandberg, let's debate it. Let's debate what happened on October 7th and whether there's any material evidence of rape. Any material evidence of rape. Let's look. Let's examine it. And I'm appreciative, even though we come from very different corners of the political universe, that you gave me the time. And I remember somebody once said to me, she's a senior historian of Nazi Holocaust. He says, in judging a person, character is much more significant than ideology. You can have nasty people across the political spectrum. Character is a much better indicator of a person than his or her ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that with Raoul Hilberg. Ideologically, polar ends of the spectrum. But the guy, he came out slugging for me. And that was it was an epiphany for me. And I'm grateful that you gave me the time as well.
And I'm grateful that we were able to do this in person. And I think there's going to be so many people who challenge themselves and make sure that they have the courage of their own convictions. So you guys, so much to learn, so much to process. All of us just trying to make sure we know what we are saying and that the facts are on our side. So thank you for joining us in this discussion.
Thank you, Candace. And acknowledge that we have all been deceived. And what we think we know is true was all smoke and mirrors, intentional for somebody else's agenda. And so it is very important that you have those conversations so that, and I suggest that when you have them, instead of going in with the heart of debate, I'm good at it. That's, I guess it's okay. But go in with a heart and a prayerful heart to obtain the truth. Let the truth fall where it may. And you go in prayed up and asking for that God reveal his truth. And even if you don't grab it, get it immediately, ask God to let that seed of truth grow in you. So, because sometimes we're just stubborn and just don't want to get it because we want to be right. And right based off of what? The only right is God's word. So what do we line God up with? We can't say our mama and daddy, but yeah, that's who raised you. But we all know that our mamas and daddies wasn't perfect. So some of their advice ain't right. So what do we line it up with? We line it up with God's word. Okay? So what if I have been misled in the word? So then is when it becomes personal and you ask God to let his truth abide. And even if I don't get it that day, let it grow. Let it marinate. Let it remain in my heart and mind. But Lord, please continue to grow your truth in me. And then I'll never be able to say, I have not been told the truth. Yeah, somebody told you the truth. You didn't want to receive it. So I don't ever want that to be me. Not anymore. Not that now that I know what I know. Yeah, I don't know everything. None of us do. We've been lied to. So when the truth comes, Lord, let it grow in me. Let it reveal itself to me. Let it lay heavy on my heart. So that it can renew the right spirit within me. So that it can turn me from my wicked ways. Okay, y'all, I'm finna go. Oh, hold on. Let me play a little yeah, let me come back. I'll come back. I'll come back with Nigeria. We need to start changing up our prayers. We don't have to always be right. And we got to stop changing God's words. The only time God gave us permission to judge is to judge the tree. God can change anybody. And it's his right to do it, even if we don't think he should. It's not up to us. It's up to God.